unsafe on the streets of the United States of America, and I do now. It feels scary to feel scared of the government.
MAGA is a racist, misogynistic. What are the other words?
No way. I mean, I believe that exists, but that's definitely not.
Piggy,
I no longer
qualities.
identify as MAGA because Trump said he doesn't want me to be MAGA anymore.
Why doesn't he want you to be MAGA?
Well, he put out a memo and said, if you want the Epstein files, you're not MAGA.
Then after they were in a detention center in another state so their family could no longer visit them, they got moved to another detention center. And they were here legally, and they had done it the right way. And they had judges saying, release them, and ICE refused to release them. And whether you choose to believe that is happening or not does not change the fact that I am standing in front of you today telling you that it is happening.
People Somebody get a copy of the Constitution.
You get to treat people less than another person based on where they're born.
Right then, let's do this. So, I've got a collection of clips here, and apparently, we're about to witness some MAGA supporters having what I can only describe as a bit of a crisis when confronted with actual, verifiable facts. And look, I haven't watched these yet, we're doing this together, but I know this is going to be something. Because here's the thing, when you build your entire political identity on vibes and grievance rather than, reality, eventually reality comes knocking, doesn't it? And it doesn't knock politely. We're talking Epstein connections. We're talking ICE. We're talking about what happens when people who've spent years screaming, do your research, suddenly have the research done for them to their faces. I genuinely don't know what we're about to see. But if the title's anything to go by, someone's about to have their worldview absolutely rattled. And honestly, I'm here for it. If you love watching me unravel disasters like this, please click that subscribe button. Let's get into it.
We've got a problem, and it has become a norm that name-calling and punching down has become this norm. We watch our Senate and Congress just fighting it out like, even Marjorie Taylor Greene is sick of it.
No, and I don't like that either, but I think the media blows things up to the point where it's sicker than what it really is. I mean, granted, I'm not saying that he did not say that, which is just terrible. But I just wish the media would just calm down. I mean, really. I mean, there's so much negative. If you watch the news, it's 29 minutes of bad stuff and then maybe 1 minute of, oh, and so did this.
Because that's the world now.
That's the way the world's always been.
Minute after minute
I hate to
of
tell you.
bad things happening. I mean, I wish we could do kitten stories on the news, but those days are gone from
You know what? When I was a young girl, I wrote
Right?
a political article that ran in the newspaper in my town of 2,300 people, and it was all about things that we're basically discussing right now. Shocking.
I do think there is a difference in the United States of America right now, though, because I can tell you there were never masked, fully armed paramilitary men rolling up in the grocery store parking lot down the street from me before. I never once felt like I was unsafe on the streets of the United States of America, and I do now. It feels scary to feel scared of the government. So I think that things are happening, and I get what you're saying. It's always been bad. Like that is the worst truth, is that it's always been bad, and it's especially always been bad for people of color. Like, I'm a white lady. My life has never been as hard as it's been for people of color. And so you're right to some extent, but it really hasn't been this bad before. It really hasn't been this divisive before. I hated the Bush administration. I was in high school. I was out there loud and proud. I was like writing letters to the editor, which is social media back before social media days. I was doing all the things. I was protesting. I was like, protest is patriotic. Chelsea Gods, like putting it in the newspaper. But I could get along with a Bush supporter and not have any issues whatsoever.
I miss those
divisiveness
conversations. I miss those.
Is related to a singular human being. It is a singular human being who created a singular political movement, which made it so that people can't even get along with each other anymore.
Well, I disagree with that, and I think it goes far deeper than what is really happening. I mean, there are some of us that know why this is really happening, and it's just something I'm not going to bring up right now, but it happens all to do with power control and politics.
Well, of course, it isn't just this one puppet man with an orange face. No, we know that. And it goes back to the billionaire class. It goes to oil. It goes to
yes.
all of these things.
Oh, yes.
So we can talk about that.
Yeah. But still, there are things that.
But this movement, and let's call it what it is, it's the MAGA movement. The MAGA movement. I don't know if either one of you ladies is MAGA. I still would, I don't like labels at all, but I know that the pre-MAGA conservative Republicans still exist. Do you know what I mean? And I feel bad for them.
Explain what the MAGA movement is.
Well, the MAGA movement has moved way away from small government. There's certainly not fiscal responsibility, if there ever was. I mean, like, it's just...
You're putting down our whole
MAGA is a
Constitution.
racist, misogynistic. It's, what are the other words? Like,
No way. I mean,
Listen,
I
are you
believe that
kidding?
exists, but
Quiet,
that's definitely
quiet,
not.
Piggy,
I'm not
from
a
the
part of the
president.
MAGA movement at all.
That's not misogynistic?
Oh my gosh!
Grab her by the
never.
pussy. Quiet,
Never.
Piggy. Are you kidding me?
Hey, he said only Rosie O'Donnell.
Right, okay, let me process what I've just witnessed here, because there's a lot to unpack. So we've got this woman saying the media blows things up and makes everything seem worse than it is. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend media bias doesn't exist. It absolutely does, across the spectrum. But here's where I need everyone to stay with me. She's complaining about negativity in the news while simultaneously living through a period where armed paramilitary forces are apparently rolling up in grocery store car parks. The other woman literally just described that, and yet somehow the takeaway is the media needs to calm down. I'm sorry, but no. And then hold on, this is the bit that properly got me. The acknowledgement that things have always been bad for people of colour. Right there, said out loud. So when marginalised communities have been screaming about feeling unsafe for generations, where was this energy? Where was the I wish the media would calm down brigade when Black Lives Matter protesters were being tear-gassed? The selective concern is, it's remarkable, honestly. But the real moment, the chef's kiss moment, is when we get to the Epstein discussion. Watch how quickly the energy shifts. One woman's trying to have an honest conversation about following a man with these alleged connections, and suddenly it's all, I don't like labels and I'm post-MAGA now. Post-MAGA. As if that's a thing. You can't just rebrand yourself when the facts become inconvenient. And then, America first. She pivots to America first like it's some sort of clean break. Someone quite rightly points out that's historically a KKK slogan. And what's the response? I can't take this. Can't take what? History? Facts? The absolute audacity of information? This is the pattern, isn't it? The moment accountability enters the chat, suddenly everyone's got somewhere else to be.
What's that?
Wasn't that only Rosie O'Donnell?
No, he
Is that
said
what
that
he
to
said?
a reporter's
just
face
said
on the
it.
plane.
Okay, two people then.
Oh my goodness, he raped people, some of them kids.
He was best
I
friends
hope
with
not.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, like, and that's okay. That movement is so following him that they can overlook these egregious
I no longer
qualities.
identify as MAGA because Trump said he doesn't want me to be MAGA anymore.
Why doesn't he want you to be MAGA?
Well, he put out a memo that said if you want the Epstein files, you're not MAGA. So
Oh, is that right?
I'm post-MAGA. I'm America first.
Me too.
America First is a KKK slogan.
What? I can't take this
No,
seriously.
I'm sorry, that's true, right?
that's actually true.
It is true.
It's true.
Well, you like history books, so it'll work out. You can look it up later.
I'm so dead.
Immigration strengthens America.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it's kind of a vague thing to say because a certain amount of immigration, a certain quality of immigration could be strengthening to America. I don't think the immigration that we've had over the past 20, 30 or so years has.
Where does your family come from?
On one side, it's like American settlers pre-Civil War. On the other side, my dad's Canadian. He's adopted, so I don't know.
And now we get to the bit that genuinely made me pause. Did you catch that? She says, and I quote, I no longer identify as MAGA because Trump said he doesn't want me to be MAGA anymore. Hold on. Let me process this for a moment. So the man puts out a memo, allegedly, saying if you want the Epstein files released, you're not MAGA. And suddenly she's post-MAGA. Just like that, the cognitive gymnastics here are extraordinary. You were ride or die for this movement until the moment it became inconvenient, until the moment those Epstein connections got a bit too close for comfort. And now you've evolved. Now you've seen the light. But here's where it gets absolutely beautiful. She pivots seamlessly, I might add, to I'm America first now, as if that's somehow better. And bless these other women in the conversation because they immediately clock it. America first is a KKK slogan. And it is. That's not opinion, that's historical fact. You can look it up. The America First Committee of the 1940s was riddled with anti-Semitism and Nazi sympathizers. Charles Lindbergh gave speeches for them that would make your skin crawl. And what's the response? I can't take this. Of course you can't. Because acknowledging the actual history of the phrase you've just adopted would require you to confront something uncomfortable about yourself. This is the playbook, isn't it? You rebrand. You swap one label for another that sounds patriotic and wholesome while carrying the exact same ideological baggage. It's like putting a fresh coat of paint on a condemned building and calling it renovated. The feigned ignorance is what kills me. Is that what it said when confronted with Trump's own words? Is that right about the memo? This isn't genuine confusion, this is strategic denial. It's a shield, because if you pretend not to know, you can't be held responsible for supporting it, can you?
Conservatives love the economy as their argument, yeah?
I don't think the economy is the most important thing. I don't see our country through the lens
Okay.
of increasing
But
the GDP. So
I'm going to bring it into the immigration issue, right? There's $90 billion brought in by undocumented immigrants yearly. $90 billion.
And do you think our country is better off? Like, do you think that?
Yes.
You think that life is more affordable and easier now than it was 20 years ago? Is that what you're saying?
No. Oh, no.
Okay. So
No, I'm talking about that $90 billion. That's revenue. That's tax revenue that
do you know
comes
how much
into
they
the
send
country.
back to their home countries? Like a lot of it. That money's not even. A lot of the money isn't even
hon.
going back into our economy.
This is This is tax money.
I understand that.
I don't know what you do.
I
This
do
is
understand that.
Do you know what tax revenue is?
Yes, I understand
okay.
that.
Tell us
I'm-
about tax revenue.
I don't need to explain what tax
These people
revenue is.
work their
My
job
point is that it's
and they
like
pay taxes.
over 30% of the money that illegal immigrants make here, they send back to their home countries.
That's their income. They can do whatever the hell they want with
yeah,
it.
but on a macroeconomic scale, that money's not going back into
Where else is that
America.
money going that they work their jobs? It goes into our stores. They're buying our products. They're feeding our economy. That's a good
So should we
thing.
just
Immigrants,
let the
of
whole
course.
But
Well, why did your
meanwhile-
parents migrate to
They're
this
also
country?
clogging up the streets.
Why did
They're
your
also-
parents
Clogging
migrate
up
to
the
this
streets.
country?
So you're
My parents didn't migrate here.
clogging up
So
the
they were
streets.
born here, but they're Canadian. One's Canadian, and the
My
other
dad
is-
was born here.
I can't handle
Okay,
it.
but
Or my
he's
dad was
Canadian,
born
right?
here.
You're just racist.
Well,
He's
hey,
Canadian.
Racist.
You're
well,
not
they
making
are. When the
sense.
ICE raids went through, it was like the
So-
fastest drive through LA I've ever experienced.
Did your
It's
parents?
great.
So where did your parents migrate from?
That's
My parents
bullshit.
have not migrated. They
That-
settled.
You take that back.
So they were
What?
born here. So they're Native American. No.
Yeah, if white people are Native American, sure.
Well, then that they're Native American. If you said they didn't migrate from any other country,
because settling is not the same thing as immigrating.
no,
Colonizing
you're wrong.
isn't immigrating.
Okay, right. So now we're getting into the economics argument, aren't we? The classic fallback. Oh, immigrants drain the economy. That's the line. That's always the line. And did you hear that? $90 billion in tax revenue from undocumented immigrants annually. And what's the response? Well, they send money back to their home countries. I'm sorry, what? That's their income. They earned it. They can do whatever they want with it. But here's what gets me. Here's what genuinely makes me want to put my head through a wall. This person doesn't even understand the difference between tax revenue and personal income. She's conflating the two as if they're the same thing. They're not. The $90 billion goes into American infrastructure, American schools, American services. That's not money being sent back. That's money funding your roads, your hospitals, your bloody fire departments. And then, she says immigrants are clogging up the streets, like they're traffic cones, like they're not human beings who work, who contribute, who pay into a system that, by the way, often gives them nothing back because they're excluded from most federal benefits anyway. The prejudice isn't even hidden anymore, is it? It's dressed up as economic concern. But when you scratch the surface, it's just fear. Fear wrapped in spreadsheets that don't exist. And I genuinely love, when someone tries to distinguish their family's immigration from modern immigration. My grandparents came through Ellis Island. They did it the right way. Mate, the right way back then was literally walking through a door and writing your name on a piece of paper. That was it. That was the process. There was no 20-year backlog. There was no lottery system. There was no paying thousands in legal fees and still getting denied. The goalposts don't just move. They get picked up and hurled into the ocean, And somehow the people who benefited from the old, easy system are the loudest voices demanding everyone else climb Everest barefoot.
I definitely believe in immigration if it's done the right way.
True.
Okay?
Agreed.
This should-
Agree.
Listen,
Agree.
if you can't do it right, then you shouldn't be here. Agreed. All right? Because my grandparents were immigrants. They came through Ellis Island. They did it right. They became, and I don't want to hear anything about, oh, the courts, they're filled up or whatever, because I don't believe it.
Okay, you choosing not to believe it does not deny that that is the reality. And
there's too
I'm
many.
here to tell you, so your grandparents did it the right way. What did they do the right way when they went through Ellis Island? They showed up, they wrote their name on a piece of paper, and then they walked out the other door.
How do you know?
Because that's what they did. That was the process. I'm telling you what it was.
That's actually true. I know from my grandpa.
So that's what it was. They walked in, they put their name on a piece of paper, and they went, I'm American now. Everything's good.
And the American
And-
legal system allowed that at the time, and we're not
Okay,
allowing
but the
to do
people
it
are
now.
still
So
doing
let's-
it legal now. And I know people who have been here legally for 3 decades who got picked up by ICE and put in a detention center, who then, when they got moved from one detention center, got moved to another detention center in another state. Then after they were in a detention center in another state so their family could no longer visit them, they got moved to another detention center. And they were here legally, and they had done it the right way. And they had judges saying, release them, and ICE refused to release them. And whether you choose to believe that is happening or not does not change the fact that I am standing in front of you today telling you that it is happening, and I have hundreds of cases happening in my hometown of San Diego, and this is happening every day of the week, and this is happening. And whether you want to believe it's happening or not, because that sounds awful, if that's what's happening, it is what's happening. And if you think it's awful, then I need someone like you to be on my side and recognize that it's awful and that these people are being treated poorly and that they did everything the right way and they still
So what is the
got
right way
kidnapped in the
now?
middle of the street
What's
and taken
the right
away from
way
us.
now? What's the right way now?
What's the right way now? Well, these people were involved in the court system. Some people had their cases reopened after having their case closed for 3 and 4 decades.
So walk me through the steps. When an immigrant comes now and wants to be a United States citizen, what do they have to do?
Oh, it's a lot, but it starts with
Process for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm telling you is the stories that I've been entrusted with from my community because I work with legal advocates, because I talk to lawyers, because I'm talking to the immigrants and the families that this has happened to. I'll give you an example. There was a woman who she had been here in the United States. She has children here in the United States. Her husband has citizenship. She didn't get citizenship, but she had a green card. Her green card was completely valid. She went in for her annual check-in with her casework or whatever, and then when she got there, they arrested her, and she's 64 years old and medically frail. She got put into California City. It is a brand new concentration camp owned by GEO Group in California City, and she got put there for 4 months where she was denied access to her medication. And her family had a lawyer, and they had advocates on her behalf, and they would call her and be like, hey, what's going on? And she would say, they're trying to force me to sign my deportation orders. Well, a judge in her case ordered her release. And you know what ICE did after a judge ordered her release? They said, we're not going to be releasing her. We're going to be deporting her. And she had done, well, what ended up happening is that they finally got a judge who showed up at the place and wouldn't leave until she was released. But that was only because there was national media attention. Now imagine if national media attention wasn't happening. Imagine all the people this is happening to who nobody knows this is happening to them. And that is happening by the thousands every single day in this country. And if when I say it to you, it makes you feel bad, I feel like we're connecting, even though we're on different sides of the political aisle, because that should make you feel bad. Because when I tell you the stories that is really happening to real humans, we should feel bad knowing that they are being treated this way. And it's untenable.
Right, okay, I need a moment here. I genuinely need a moment because what we just watched, that's not politics anymore, is it? That's someone standing there, describing a 64-year-old woman, medically frail, valid green card, been here for decades, getting thrown into what she literally called a concentration camp. And before anyone in the comments starts typing, she used that word deliberately and honestly. When you're describing facilities run by private prison corporations where people are denied medication and pressured to sign their own deportation orders, what else would you call it? And the bit about a judge ordering her release, and ICE just going, nah, we're good actually. That's not immigration enforcement, that's lawlessness wearing a badge. That's the government telling the judiciary to sod off. And we're supposed to be the country that lectures everyone else about rule of law. But here's what really got me. Here's what I can't shake. She said, imagine all the people this is happening to that nobody knows about. Thousands every single day. And she's right. We only heard about this one woman because there was media attention, because advocates fought for her, because a judge physically showed up and refused to leave. What about everyone else? What about the families sitting in detention centres right now, separated from their children, denied legal counsel, being shuffled state to state so their loved ones can't even visit? That's not enforcement. That's cruelty by design. And look, I'm not naive. Immigration systems require rules. Every country has them. But there's a canyon of difference between having a process and having a process that treats human beings like cattle to be herded, hidden, and discarded. These aren't numbers on a spreadsheet. These are people who built lives here, who raised families, who contributed to communities. If hearing that makes you uncomfortable, good. It should, because discomfort is the first step toward actually giving a damn.
What do you feel about
And now they're
that?
doing it to citizens.
What do you
as
think
well.
of that?
I have
Legal
a hard
citizens.
time believing
If-
it.
let's-
But wait, okay,
if it's true.
can I finish? I have a hard time believing it if everything you're saying is true, that the government is targeting people who are here legally, who are citizens, then obviously I would not want them to be deported.
Right.
Well, they're not necessarily citizens, but they're still here legally. People still have a right to live in this country without being a U.S. citizen.
Okay, well,
they still
now,
have
see, this is
residency.
why it's like, okay, I don't know.
But how is that a problem? Why, after 40 years, would you be okay with a person having their life destroyed in an instance? Why are you fine with putting their life up
Oh
in
my
flames?
gosh. If there,
there's a
I
much
obviously
bigger-
don't support deporting American citizens. Anyone else? Yeah, we can decide. if we want to
There's a
deport
much
them. They're
bigger
not
picture
Americans.
to all this, and I'm not going to go into
So they're
it.
less
I
than
don't really
human
care.
because they're not American.
No,
so,
they're
oh,
just
great,
not
we can destroy
American,
their
so they don't
life.
need to live
Great
here.
news. You guys were born on the wrong side of this imaginary line, so your whole life can be destroyed
Yeah,
today. You feel
if
comfortable
you think
with
if
that?
I tried to sneak into like Japan or China and stay there, they'd let me stay? No, they'd be like.
I don't think they'd hunt you in the streets. I don't think they would
I
do
think
that.
if they found I was there illegally, they would deport people like they deport
Absolutely.
anyone who is. Like that's how
Oh,
every
yeah.
government functions. Besides,
That's right.
Like,
And
And
ours,
people have
basically.
been like, let's
do.
be real. Democrats have also deported people. In fact, Biden.
It's called having laws. Like, I
Biden deported more than Trump did
So
in his
did
first
Obama.
term.
That's a good point. That's
Obama.
something I really hate about Trump.
And so this is something that does happen, yes.
But not in the way that,
There's due process.
Tangerine Man
Or
has
was.
done.
Obama was awesome for that.
There was due process. That's the difference. And due process is something that our Constitution says we do.
You don't get
including-
constitutional rights if you're not American, though.
That's not true.
No,
So
that's
you
not
get to treat
true.
people
Somebody get a
like
copy of
less
the
than, you get to treat people
Constitution. I'm
less than another
serious.
person
It's
based
in
on
there.
where they're born. Just you get to treat someone less than you
Well, that's what
based
makes-
on
You're
where they're
making this
born.
very emotional. It's
You're
not,
talking
it's
about-
not
It's not
where
emotional.
anyone
That's what I'm
is. It's about
asking you.
Right. So, look, I need a moment here. Just let me collect myself. Because what we've just watched, all of it, from start to finish, it's not complicated. It really isn't. And yet somehow we're still having these conversations in 2026, where people are genuinely confused about whether human beings deserve basic dignity. And I keep coming back to this one thing. The woman in that last clip, she's standing there, calmly, patiently explaining that real people who did everything right, who followed every rule, are being ripped from their families. And the response? I have a hard time believing it. Mate, she's literally telling you, firsthand, with receipts, with cases, with names. But here's what gets me. And I mean really gets me. Throughout all of these clips, you've got people clinging to this idea that they're somehow different from MAGA. Oh, I'm America first now. Oh, I don't like labels. But you're still defending the same policies. You're still dismissing the same atrocities. You've just rebranded. And that right there is the whole game, isn't it? Change the slogan, keep the cruelty. So here's where I land on all of this. If watching someone explain that a 64-year-old woman was denied her medication in a detention facility doesn't move you, if hearing that judges ordered releases and ICE just said no doesn't concern you, if your response to human suffering is, well, they should have done it the right way when they did do it the right way, then I don't know what to tell you, genuinely. But for everyone else, for those of you who watched this and felt something, that feeling matters. Don't let it fade. Use it. Share this. Talk about it. Challenge people when they parrot these talking points, because democracy doesn't defend itself, and neither do the people being erased by it. Stay informed, stay loud, and I'll see you in the next one.